Welcome to Rubber Duck Engineering. Tonight, we're going to be exploring animations. We're going to learn how to animate things with a special guest. Happy Thursday, Dr. Barth.
Happy Thursday, Eric. Your background is a little different than what I'm used to seeing.
You know, it is so nice here in California. I decided to sit outside tonight. So I have the whole, I'm drenched in sunlight. I don't even have to have the fancy lights tonight.
That's amazing. It's beautiful. The lighting is just... How are you? How's your week? How was your week?
It was pretty good. You know, I'm actually on vacation this week, which is always nice. It's good to just, you know, have distance from things. So yeah, my week was good. How about yourself?
It was pretty good. It was a little packed today. I gave a tech talk at work, which is something that I enjoy doing, but it's still a stressful thing for me to prepare and like get the slides all in order, give the presentation, and I think it went well. Got a lot of good questions and tried to answer them. And,
I think people forget that is that even if you've done presenting like 100 times, it's still every time it gets you.
Yeah, it's always the like. I always want to like change the slides at the last minute. So my presentation was about the intersection between system design and Legos. And I learned the day before the talk that you're not supposed to use the word Lego as a noun. That Lego officially is an adjective.
Okay.
I had no idea. So I had to go quickly go through all my slides and change all the places I'd use the word Lego as a noun to use it as an adjective, which sort of threw me off a little bit. But you know.
Well, so as I said at the top of the show, we're doing animation tonight. And we have a special guest. Shall we bring on our guest?
Please.
So tonight we have Guido Rosso. Did I say your last name correctly?
You did.
Hi, Guido.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I was just listening to the Lego thing, and I wanted to comment. Actually, in Italian, Lego is a verb. It means tied, like tied together.
Oh, wow. Do they use it to market the toys? It's like the toys are tied together?
You know, that's a great question. I don't think I've ever heard it. It's kind of just like assumed that that's the play on words with it, right? I think that's what most Italians think. They probably don't even realize that it's not. Is it an Italian company? I actually don't know.
I have actually no idea where the company comes from. It's just a toy that I play with in my childhood and my kids play with.
Yeah. It literally means like the Lego is like io Lego is like saying I tie something. It's yeah, that's the meaning.
So Guido runs a company called Rive, and they do an animation editor on the web. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right. Real-time animation. That's our specialty. Interactive real-time animation. That's the hole we're trying to fill.
Okay. And I heard you were going to teach us to animate tonight, or teach us at least a little bit about Rive.
Yeah, we can build something. The classic bouncing ball is what most animators learn on their first day at animation school.
That sounds about my speed for animation.
It can get pretty intense. You can get some pretty insane bouncing balls with like squash and stretch effects and all this stuff. So we'll see how far we can get with it.
So what brought you to animation? Like what caused you to get interested in animation and start an animation company?
So I think what initially got me interested in animation is a cliche answer that probably everyone my age is gonna say, which is a combination of Toy Story and Jurassic Park. When those two movies came out, it was basically like, yep, this is what I'm doing with my life. Which a lot of animators, again, my age, associate or were found that joy through those two films.
I don't think of Jurassic Park as being a big animation movie, but I guess the dinosaurs are animated.
Yeah, it was. I think I may say something historically incorrect here, but it was one of the first big budget movies that used CG that made the decision to forego the animatronics, the robots, and go more with CG. They still used robots and animatronics for a lot, but the big chunk of it was was CG, and it was, I think there was some political stuff going on at the same time where one studio had been hired and another studio ended up getting the job. Maybe Tippett Studios. I don't want to say something wrong here. I actually studied this a long time ago, and yeah, so it was a big deal. Yeah, and you might remember Tron too. I'm forgetting Tron, but Tron, of course, was also like one of the first movies that had a lot of animation. But the reason I landed on interactive animation is my twin brother and I have an identical twin. We decided in high school, spur of the moment type thing. Well, it wasn't spur of the moment, but it's too long of a story. We did an online competition for Diamond Multimedia, and to design their logo for I don't know if you guys remember the Rio MP3 player as like the first.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Player. Yeah, so they were starting to like do like online gaming, and they had to design a logo for us type thing. And my brother put like a week into it, worked a lot to get this logo built. I did mine in like the night before, and of course I won first place and he got third place, and he was like, you know what? I'm done. You're the designer from now on. I'm the programmer. He was already like doing low level C, and he was modding Quake and stuff like that in high school, you know. And so we decided that, and we ended up starting a Flash company where we kind of did services, design, development, sold ourselves as a huge studio. It was really just him and I in our apartment in Rome, and yeah, we started doing Flash, and that's kind of, I mean, over the years we've realized that, you know, Flash faded away for good reasons, but the sort of need for a tool that creates animation that is interactive and for real time, not just for video, has remained this hole in the industry, and so that's part of what we're trying to do.
All right, I'm dying to see it. Can you show us some examples or?
Yeah, so if you want to look at my screen here, I'm on our community page. These are files created by some of our users, and yeah,
it's like the GitHub octopus or whatever.
That's right. This is the OctoCat. Yeah, we recently launched. What's that?
The OctoCat. It's
yeah.
a great like concept for like a mascot.
Yeah, it's fantastic. They actually have some amazing artists on their team. They've done all kinds of interpretations of this character, and so this was kind of ours. And this is one of our animators that built this. We actually launched a new feature just last week that lets you. It really helps with creating these walk cycles and like legs, and you know, just keeping feet planted on the ground, which is a surprisingly difficult thing to do in animation if you don't have the right tools. And so, yeah, we built this as an example for what you can do. So yeah, this is like a file. You can go to the community and you can check them out. And then there's this open in Rive button, which opens a new tab. So you're not going to see it, but I'm just going to copy and paste it into here. So there we go.
I like the fact that it has the license very clearly displayed, so that you know.
Oh yeah,
what the terms are for using this animation.
Yeah, so that's a kind of a change we did over the last year. Initially, if you might remember, you might not remember, the product used to be called Flare, and our company used to be called Two Dimensions. It was really confusing. We tried to simplify it all down into just one thing. Rive is the name of the company, Rive is the product. But if you remember Flare, we used to have all these options that you could post your files with different licenses, and we ended up deciding that was just too complicated, and that if you want to just post something to the community, it's going to be the Creative Commons BY license, which is basically it means that you got to give attribution to the person that you took the file from, which is very common in design, creative sort of work. Other tools do this too, and so yeah, basically now in the community, you share stuff and you agree to this CC BY license, which basically says you can use it for anything, but you just got to give credit to the where you got it from.
That's and a great license, very widely used, very widely accepted.
Oh, you're familiar with it? Cool, yeah.
Yeah,
awesome. So yeah, and you also have here this little drop down, which is pretty cool. Oh, there's nothing here, but normally if you've posted a few different versions, you can actually go and check out all the different revisions of it, which is cool because once we get commenting in, which isn't live yet, you'll be able to actually see the feedback the designer got and the animator got on that version, and then jump to the next version and see how it evolved over time, which you don't see a lot in design tools. You get that stuff with GitHub and developer tools, where you have this kind of public working together, leaving PRs and comments, but design tools don't have that as much. So we think that might be cool. All right, so let's go forward. Oh no, it's going to the Creative Commons. Hang on, got to go back to open in Rive. And I can quickly show you this character. I think this gets pretty complicated as a beginner type thing, but you can see that if I go to animate mode here, you can see this. Come on.
And so everything we're seeing is on the web, right?
Yeah. So this is all built with Flutter. We use Flutter as our basically UI and render everything here that you see. We do a little bit of, I'm entering into my uncomfort zone here where I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm the designer as mentioned. We do something with WASM and C++ on the rendering side, but for the most part, it's all Flutter. Yeah, you can see we get really good performance. You can pan around, you can zoom in here with the trackpad, zoom out.
Does that mean it works on my iPad too?
It does. We don't actually deploy to the App Store yet. We're still in beta, so we're trying to have one platform to get all the bugs ironed out with the website first. But you could open it on your iPad on the web and it works.
Sure.
But we do, of course, because we're with Flutter, it means that we can deploy to desktop, we can deploy to iPad, Android devices. I actually personally really love the desktop app. It's really, really fast. We just, like I said, we don't want to have too many because we want folks during the beta to focus on the web side of things, make sure we get like all our services and stuff figured out right. So yeah, let me just quickly show what I meant by making these things. These things tend to be hard to animate. If I grab this little control here, you can see that I'm kind of moving around and the legs are all sort of following. This is stuff that if you don't have, this is called IK constraints. Basically, all these targets here are inverse kinematics that allow you to easily position legs. These are advanced concepts that essentially forward kinematics is when you position something by doing this, right? You move this bone first, then you move this bone, then you move this other bone. This is forward kinematics. And if you imagine having to do like a walk cycle like that, it would take you forever. You got to move like 4 different bones here, and you got to do it like how many bones? He's called OctoCat, but I don't think, or she's called OctoCat. I'm not sure. But she doesn't actually have 8 legs. I think it's like 4 or 5.
These bones are not visible in the final animation.
No, right. We can actually hide them here. Yeah. So you don't see them.
But they're part of like the structure of the.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you can just get a sense of like how that this feature we recently launched just makes it really easy to position a character and like create poses without having to move a ton of bones. Yeah, so
our viewers agree with you.
What's that?
I said I think our viewers agree with you that this is very cool.
Nice. That's cool to see that there's some comments. Good day, everyone. Yeah, what else can I show you? There's some other stuff that we're pretty excited about here.
Well, I suspect, I don't know how much animation Adam's done, but I've done basically none, and I don't know how many of those are watching. Is this like normal? Is this like what a normal animation tool looks like?
So for the most part, a lot of the concepts from animation will feel really familiar to anyone that's worked with like a timeline, keys, and that type of stuff. We've kind of blended a few things where you have like a screen design side of it. So if we go back to the editor here, I'll just open this up.
Like, what is this weird ocean filling square test tube thing you got?
So this is like an example of a bar chart that like how you would build it in a way that it's connected to data. This is like what we're trying to do a little differently. What I talked about with the tool being more interactive and real time based. But from a pure animation perspective, like or design tool perspective, you sort of have your hierarchy here on the left. You select things and you get like information on the things that are selected on the right. This is like your typical screen design tool. But then we also switch over to animate mode, and you get like your familiar timeline that you'd see in other animation tools. I'm right-clicking and panning here. You can do the same on the stage, but you can also use spacebar and like typical stuff you'd see in design tools. But where it gets different is like the interactive nature, right? Where we want all of this runs in real time, so it's not pre-rendered. Everything you're seeing here is being rendered 60 frames per second. There's no pre-rendering happening. So if I hit play here, it's actually like moving all these. Here, let's hide the bone so you can actually see that a little better.
And like viewers at home, they can like literally go to, Rive.app and just open up this exact same.
Yep,
thing, right?
That's right. Yep, hit the community button, and I believe you might need to go look at the latest posts, not the featured ones, because this one was just posted recently. But yeah, any of those files, you can click on them, and
you can break the Octocat's legs.
yeah. You can be very mean to Octocat if you so wish. So yeah, one of the things I'm actually really excited to show is this state machine, which is essentially a way for designers to add real interactivity to their tool, to their graphics. And so what this one is set up in. So first of all, you create like timeline animations, and then in the state machine, you can basically like drag them out onto this graph, and you can like connect them and sort of define some logic for how. Oh, am I freezing? Oh no, it's back.
No. Like what you just did is blew my mind. So you added another edge to your state machine here.
Yeah. So you basically can like connect things with this graph, and I'm not going to do that because that's going to break everything right now. But we'll build the bouncing ball. We'll build a state machine with it, and we can like look at all the details of it. But essentially, yeah, you drag these animations, and then you determine how it works. And we have an input here, which is essentially the input is what controls the state machine. This is kind of like a contract between designer and developer. When you're building this, you tell your dev like, hey, I'm going to create an input, and it's going to be called level. And when I play this, your app, your game, your website, your whatever you're building, just needs to manipulate this value. And you can see I'm moving it up and down here, and it's moving our bar chart. And when it hits a certain number, it actually these tentacles come out, and if we go down, they hide. And so the way that's set up. Floats. What's that?
I was just saying, so it's like named floats. It's basically how you deal.
Yeah. So when you add an input, you can choose between basically we try to make it designer friendly, but yeah, it's effectively a float, a boolean, and then there's trigger is basically like a boolean, but it immediately resets to false after going true. Here, let's actually, if I go back.
We actually have a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I fell down on my duties here. Akash asks, is it resource consuming as compared to normal animation in Flutter?
So I'm on the design side of things. I don't know about Flutter having usual resource consumptions issues, but as far as I can tell you, the performance is really solid. And we have some files here that have a lot of stuff going on. We've done some performance improvements where we try to like flatten certain parts of the screen that aren't currently rendering into images, raster graphics, so that it's not everything is vector on the screen. That's a recent performance improvement we did. But no, performance has been pretty good. We also, Flutter has a really cool feature that we use for, let me see if I have a good example here. This might not be a good example, but this is a cool file, so I'm going to show it. Flutter has a feature that we use for our color picker, which we are going to use to build a new feature that isn't live yet, which actually lets you lower the resolution here. So if I go up here, we have zoom level. We're going to add something called resolution, which actually allows you to like basically render half the pixels. And so if we detect that you are having performance issues, you can tell it to render less. So and that uses the same stuff that we use for our color picker. It's basically what we use to get this sort of pixelated grid,
so cool.
To select colors here.
You built a loop in Flutter.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's beautiful.
But everything we see on the screen is Flutter on the web. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Crazy. It looks like you got another question. Sorry, good.
I was just going to say hello to Frank. Hi, Frank.
Oh, hi, Frank. And Vishnu also asked.
Yeah. So the question is, do you want to read the question, Eric?
Go for it. You got it.
Can the level parameter of the bar chart be manipulated at runtime? And yeah, that parameter you're talking, we call them inputs. Let's look at the one in this file right here. These exist. These are what we want you to control at runtime. In fact, we try to make our files super lightweight, so we only expose certain things so that when you export these files, they end up being pretty tiny. Like some of these are like 14 kilobytes. Some are even less.
14 kilobytes.
We can download this one and look at how big it is. Well, let's do that later because it's going to change the tab here. And yeah, inputs is a way basically to say like, no, this is what I do want exposed, and I want my dev team to be able to access it. And in this case, we have this level, like this is like a little skill select screen. You can picture an app like where you've got like a beginner, intermediate, or expert. And if I hit play on the state machine, you can see here that we're playing the intermediate state. Let me zoom in a bit so you can see it a little better. Oops, too fast. Let's bring this down a little so you can see her a little more. And then if we change the level, like let's put her down to level 0, she morphs down into a baby. And that's changed state, and it's effectively mixing between those. If I go to, let's say, level 2, this is our expert. This is our intermediate, and we can drag these up and down. Oh, that's not working actually because it's set
So
up
there are 3 states in this, right? 0, 1.
There's 3 states, and they're basically 3 animations that were created using the same shapes. So this beginner animation was created using, a circle for the head, a circle for the hair, some like rectangles with rounded corners for the legs. And then our animator went and created this intermediate character and basically reused the same shape. So that's the same head. He just like repositioned it, and like, all these things are reused. In fact, if we go to the state machine and we change the transition time, see here, these transitions have time. We can change how long it blends for. So we can make it like a second instead of 300 milliseconds. And now when we hit play, you'll see that
because the objects are the same in the different animation, is interpolating in some way.
Exactly. Here's 5 seconds. You can see it go really slow. You can see exactly what he's doing to like hide the pants and all that stuff. But yeah, it's
like roll up into the diaper here.
Yeah. It's basically mixing the walk states and the everything together.
It's kind of amazing how the like stride like just sort of keeps going through it. Like the like, I guess you called it a walk cycle. Is that the
Yep. Yeah. That's I think that's one of the really differentiators of our product, is that this isn't just made to make, linear video. This is made to have animations mix on top of one another, which is really important for interactive content, but really only kind of accepted as a standard for gaming. It's really only something that game developers use, like have a character that might need a walk and blend between run. You're not going to create 100 different run and walk cycles for a game character. You're going to create a walk cycle and a run cycle, and then you're going to blend in between them based on, how much you're holding the game controller or something like that. And then you can add, layer on top of it like a point animation or a jump animation. And you don't want to have to create all those permutations. If you were doing this with like some tool that creates, a ping sequence or a GIF or something that you want to put into your app, you'd have to create all those different permutations of those cases, and it wouldn't be feasible. It would be impossible. So that's why, a file like this ends up being just a few kilobytes, and it's all just data, right? These are just vector points, and we only store like bone rotation, bone position, and stuff like that. So it ends up being pretty small.
And then you guys have runtimes for other environments besides Flutter too, right?
That's right. Yeah. Let me go to our homepage here. We're constantly adding more. So I just came back from paternity leave. So I know there were some new things that cropped up while I was out. So let me just double check our homepage here, because
I love the scroll.
It just zooms out.
Oh yeah. That's right. We should show.
Of course, your webpage will have the most amazing animations, but this one is truly remarkable.
It's like, oh no, surprise! You were actually in the editor.
Yeah. So you can interact with all this. Yeah. You can interact with all this. We actually did that for not just for show-off reasons, although it is fun, but it was actually to have folks help them understand that it is an editor, because you kind of might come to the site and see like, oh, cool animations. Is this a game studio, or is it like a library for developers to load into their apps? And we wanted to make it clear, no, this has like, our product actually is 2 parts. There's the editor, which is a huge chunk of it. And then there's what Eric's getting to, the runtimes, which are like the libraries that allow you to load these files into any platform. So if we scroll, all of these are interactive, by the way, and you see this little Rive button here. Of course, this is animated in Rive, and you can click that, and it'll actually open this file, so you can see how it's rigged and how it's working and all that. So we were looking at the runtimes. So yeah, this is what we have right now. We have web, Flutter, the low level C++, which kind of, again, this is a little out of my comfort zone, but from what my understanding of it is that like all our logic happens at the C++ layer, so that then we can only abstract the rendering to all these other ones. And the C++ layer is the same across all of them. So we add a feature that doesn't require rendering, like that IK stuff we showed you. We looked at earlier with the bones, not breaking and moving around with the octocat. That's just an update to our C++ runtime, and then it's available on all of them basically. Except Flutter. Flutter always is a little different because the editor is built in Flutter, and so it doesn't have that C++ back layer, and Flutter kind of gets the features first, almost for free, because we build them into the editor, and then the runtime basically has them. And so yeah, this one was a recent addition. The Samsung team actually made so all of these are open source, so anyone can go and grab them and contribute to them. And Samsung was cool enough to just go and build the Tizen one for us, which was really neat.
Akash asks, this is all built using Flutter Web.
The editor is the website here is not. The website here is React. I mean, it's JS. I think we use TypeScript and React for
because it's a scrolling document. But the actual editor.
Yep. Yeah. But all these animations are built with Flutter in the editor. This is using our web runtime here, but performance is exactly the same on the animation side. Like Eric is saying, I think we ended up we experimented with using Flutter Web for the website too, and there was just a number of things that were just easier to go straight with, the HTML side of things with a huge scrolling document like this.
Yeah, we haven't really built Flutter Web for documents.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's really the model, is that there's these this editor and then these runtimes that allow you to, they kind of act like players. Oh, this one's actually pretty fun if you haven't seen this one. This is like a pull to refresh animation that when it hits a certain level.
So pretty.
So this is the type of stuff that like you could do with another tool, right? You just build an animation, but iterating on this and looking at like, I want to see what does it do right when it's like, see, you can see the clouds are still going there and there's meteorites still flowing by. Like a designer typically would have to like mock this up and then hand it over to a dev and be like, hey, hook this up for me so I can try it out, or build it with some other prototyping tool. Instead, you can build this and then use the state machine in the editor to actually test it out yourself and see that it's all working. Yeah.
Could we jump in and try to make this bouncing ball?
Sure, let's do it. So if you go to the launch button here, it's going to open up the editor. And we've got our rubber duck engineering team here. You're all here. I'm going to make the file. You should all see it pop up there. Let's call it, what do we want to call it? Bouncing ball. Should see it in your files. You might have to click on the rubber duck engine. Yeah,
I see it.
There's Adam. Yeah.
Whoa, I better look at my screen instead of the screen share to try to control my mouse.
Yeah, it might be a little delayed if you're looking at the screen share.
All right, I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to try to make an ellipse.
So yeah, I mean, I can. Well, do you want me to guide you? And you're gonna. Yeah. So when you're making the circle, hold Shift. That's gonna
actually make an actual circle.
It's gonna actually constrain it. Yeah. So I'm making one here on my screen, but you should do it.
All right, here we go.
I'm going to delete mine. Are you making yours?
I tried. Let's see.
Oh, I can redo it. Oh no. Well, this is how you know it's really live. Oh yeah, we got two balls. All right, something we did there conflicted. That doesn't usually happen, but we have a little trace of it. We'll be looking at it to see what happened.
Oh, I can give it a color.
Yep. So yeah, why don't you make it? So I'm going to make one here too, because they probably can't see your panels and stuff. So
I see. They can only see the results of what I'm doing.
So yeah, you can only see the results exactly. So what he did here is he opened this fill and he like went and changed the colors. You can.
Live integration testing. I love it.
Yeah. So wait,
Okay.
you do so yeah, you make a ball and I'm gonna make a shadow for it. So here, let's do that. Let's get your ball centered for you. You need a designer's eye to center this ball, Adam. There you go.
Did I pick a good color?
I think
Tell
it's
me
a
I
cool
picked a
ball.
good color.
Yes.
Okay, how do I make it move? I need to.
So I'm gonna just duplicate it real quick and move it down, and then I'm gonna squish it a bit, and I'm gonna make it gray. So we get a little like there we go. We got a shadow, and we can put it down there. Oh, we got to change the order of it. So I'm gonna call this shadow.
Oh, it looks like a shadow. That's cool.
It's ball.
Can you guys still hear
So
me?
I created. We can still hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, your
sorry,
mic was checking out.
I had some technical difficulties. I just love the paradigm shifts that are obvious in watching this. Like, this is just like a post, like the idea that you have live editing is just, of course, in this, and just all the, fancy animations and stuff.
The fact that we're all three in here, like poking around at this thing is like, I don't know. I do feel like we're living in the future. Like I've never drawn a picture with three people on a canvas like this before.
Cool.
Well, it's just something that was
maybe this is obvious to you. Like maybe you use this tool all the time. He's like, well,
yeah,
no,
it's definitely. I mean, we can't take total credit for this. There's been a lot of tools that have been doing this. Figma probably is the one that's the most popular right now, and they kind of pioneered this whole idea of the multiplayer. But yeah, it's pretty rad. It's awesome for design reviews. We hop in every Thursday. We have a design review with our team in London, and we have some in London, some in Spain, some here in Palo Alto. And who made my ball disappear? And yeah, we hop in and kind of give each other review each other's animations. So yeah, let's get to animating. But one thing we should do first is what you'll notice is that if we rotate this ball right now or try to do anything, see, nothing's really going to happen because it's a ball and it's rotating from the center. So we actually want to move its center point here, and I'm going to activate something called freeze, which you can actually go up here and activate it there too. But I'm just going to hit the shortcut for it, which is Y, and I'm going to move its point to the very bottom of it and then disable it. Because what that does is that now when we want to rotate it or do anything, we kind of get this effect, which we can use to like make it do kind of like if it's going to bounce over to one side or something. And you can also use it to squash and stretch when it hits the floor, which is going to look much cooler. So anyway, that's one tip. But yeah, let's go over to animate mode. Oh, I just hit tab, by the way. You can hit animate mode here. So we sort of have two modes. One is design, where you're like setting up the file. And this is sort of the default state of the file because it's made for real time and interactivity. There's like this concept of the default state of the file, the setup state, and it needs like all the objects kind of need to exist, and then you add animations to it. So yeah, we're gonna switch over to animate mode, and who wants to animate this? I'll show you real quick how you do this. You basically want to set some keys here. So position. There's this little diamond next to the properties that can be animated. That when I click on that adds a key here in the in the timeline. So that icon reflects that. And then any time you move over here on the timeline, you can change that property and it's going to add a new key. And now if we hit play, we'll see that it's moving. So I'm going to make it move up and down real quick here.
I'll make it rotate. How about that?
Sure. So you can also copy paste. I copy pasted that. I took the first key here and just copied it at the end. So now it just goes up and down. Oh, you made it rotate like that. Oh, okay, yeah. If you wanted to,
is that a bad idea?
I mean, it's not a bad idea if we're gonna we can make it move. We can give it some extra movement later, like make an arc, and then we can make it do that. That'll look interesting.
Right, I'll take the rotation away. I was getting ambitious.
Let me maybe just show you. How about I show you real quick one bounce, and then you create the follow-on bounces, because we want it to like look realistic, right? It's going to bounce up in the air, but then we don't want it to just stop, right? We want it to kind of do like little bounces at the end, because that's going to make it look more realistic. So,
okay,
so it's kind of, what's that?
I'll stop messing with the file.
No, it's cool. It's actually fun. So yeah, so we see we got it like going up and down. Let's put this on loop so we can keep watch it. This is a common thing, by the way, in design. Like I feel like I do this a lot, and I suspect a lot of animators will tell you they do this a lot. They just watch their stuff on loop a lot because it like helps you like just catch things easily. So yeah, this is very boring. Let's add some interpolation. That's going to make it a lot more interesting. So a ball usually when it like reaches the top, like gravity starts affecting it, right? So when it's falling, it's going to fall the slowest, and then it's going to be the fastest when it hits the floor, right? So we're going to add some interpolation here. By selecting a key, you get this interpolation option here, and I'm going to change it to cubic. And you want it to basically be really slow at the top, and then really fast at the bottom. So the out here, I can hold shift to make it straight. And make it just go all the way out, and then get rid of any ease out on it. So basically what it's going to do now is that you can see as I'm advancing, it's like kind of hanging in the air, and then it goes really fast when it hits the bottom. So that looks more realistic. The start doesn't look good though. So the start needs to do the opposite. The start needs to stay on the ground longer because gravity's holding it down. And then as it gets up to the top, it gets faster and faster and faster. Or is that right? Yes, that's right. I think, well,
it's the other way around, right?
Am I saying it wrong? Launch. I'm saying it the other way. Yeah, I'm saying it wrong.
Yeah.
It launches.
It slows down as it gets to the top.
It starts normal and it slows down. Yep. So this is what we want to do. You're right. So that's cool. It's kind of, it's missing like, here, let's make it a little longer.
It's a little deformation now.
You want to deform it, make it squash. But yeah, so let's move this out a bit. So at the start, there's this concept in animation, like Disney's 12 principles of animation. And there's this concept of anticipation where like it doesn't actually happen in real life, but if you see animation without it, it looks wrong. And that's sort of what's happening here. The ball's just like springing to life. It's like, whoa, what happened there, you know? So you want to add, like we can maybe make it kind of squash before it jumps up. So let's add a key here for scale. So scale X at the start. Yeah, let's actually zoom in too so you see this a little better. I hit F there, by the way.
And like get ready to go.
What's that?
It's gonna like crouch down.
Yeah, exactly. So we added a scale of 100% here, but maybe we'll make it start like, or here, let's make it start at 100 and then crouch down to like not that much. There's a concept I once watched a tutorial someone did on this, which is like anything you want your ball to kind of have the same volume that it has. So if you take away like 20% here, so if you bring it down to 75%, you need to add 25% to make it still have like the same, volume. So now it kind of is going to squash, and then when it goes up, we want it to go back to normal. So here, let's just set that back to 100 for now. We're gonna want to do some more fancy stuff later, but for now we'll just do this. And we want to add some interpolation here so that it actually looks kind of smooth when it does that.
I love how easy it is to set keyframes. I've not used a lot of other animation tools, but you just click the little button and the little triangle.
That's right. Yeah, I mean,
look at some of the other files that he had. It was just like full of like keyframe. Like
yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can see we spent like a few minutes here, and you guys, this is like your first time trying it, and we've already created a bunch of keys. You can see how it quickly in another 10 minutes, this could become like a ton of keys. But what I was going to suggest you could do if you wanted to is you could make these little other bounces at the end here, because it's going to look a lot better if like we add, I don't know, I'm just going to eyeball this, but like something like just a few shorter bounces. So take this and like,
so the engineer in me just wants to get like crazy about these numbers because you just created like a dozen different numbers, and I want to like tune each one to be just like perfect.
Yeah. So you can go and calculate like, make them all like, I don't know, with some logarithmic curve, right?
I don't know. They're just sort of overwhelming to me how many numbers we just created.
So this has no interpolation at the end, and then the squash is happening really fast. The squash and stretch, like to make this actually accurate, we'd probably want it to, when it hits its fastest moment, which is going to be like right here, you'd want it to sort of get more squished a bit like that. And then up here, you want it to be a little more, I don't know, I'm totally eyeballing this. This might not look good at all. Yeah, it does not look good. All right, let's remove that. But hey, we have a bouncing ball. It's not great, but it's sort of doing something. what's actually happening at the end here? I feel like this we need to fix this bounce. There's something weird. It's doing that, and then it's doing here. Let's just add
I kind of wanted to just like squish at the end and just be like, oh, I'm all out of gas.
It's kind of. I think this bounce looks like
it's stuttering somehow.
It needs to be taller. Yeah. No. Oh. More. Here.
I can see how you could get pretty quick at this tool.
Well, yeah, this is a lot of like iterating, right? Let's space these out more. I think these are just like way too close together.
Are you using the keyboard to move those, or?
Oh yeah, so you can. I'm using the mouse, but you can select them.
Mouse wheel.
And then no, just I'm clicking and dragging. But you can use. Let me remember here. I think it's comma and period. So the keys that have the chevrons on them, they're easy to recognize like that. So if you do that, yeah, it jumps one frame. I think if you hold Alt, if you hold Alt, it moves it. And then if you hold Alt Shift, it'll jump 10. Same if you hold Shift without Alt, you can move quickly. So yeah, we have a bunch of keyboard shortcuts to like quickly move around.
I hit the question mark key and it brought up some little search bar. I have no idea what that does.
Oh yeah, so that's if you want to search for your files. Like we don't really have a lot of files right now. I created a blank account for this, but yeah, it's a search if you want to quickly open something. So all right, let's make this happen faster.
Cool. Yeah, I think for those of us who just like don't live in the design world, this is just, I mean, to me, it's kind of mind blowing. A, that these tools exist. B, that they were built with something that Adam and I worked on.
Cool.
And
that's right. Yeah.
Imagine doing this.
I just imagine spending hours and hours like sculpting like the effect that I want to create. Like you can sort of see the like. Guido's already like zoned into it, right? Like making all the curves and like the bouncing and the like springy. Because at some point it creates this illusion of this like living thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where I was gonna say if we added like some X movement to it. Although I don't know why. I think it's the pressure of doing this live. I'm not getting a good bounce here. Let's see this as it's on the top. Oh, I see. I've got the wrong key here. I want this to.
It's like asking us to write bad code. Like we're asking Guido to like, can you write the Hello World example? No, it has to be great.
Yeah, I want it to look like a decent bounce here. I don't feel like we haven't hit decent. There, that was okay. There's still a little. Okay, so this one needs to go like that. Come on, why is it not moving? Oh, did I freeze?
Are there other?
Oh no, there it goes.
You have this interpolation.
Yeah.
Are there other interpolation curves? Like you could imagine for the bouncing, you wanted to like go past and come back.
Springiness and that type of stuff. We don't have them yet, but it's the reason we haven't done it is we don't want to hard code them in. So we could create our own bouncy thing with like some values here that you can change, but we have ideas which we don't have fully figured out yet. But for being able to script in here, and so basically write your own. So we'd much prefer to, instead of giving you some baked ones, like let's create some things that we can then share on the community, and other people can create their own easing curves and put them in here. So that's a reason. Yeah, we want to do something a little more powerful than just giving you a bunch of presets that you can customize here. So all right, this. I don't like the way that one's hitting the floor there. What's going on? So and.
I mean, when we were implementing the curves in the sort of basic animation part of Flutter, then at some point we turned on our code coverage tool, and then the like amount of work it took to get code coverage inside each different like interpolation zone and each of the curves, it took quite a while.
For the like built-in Flutter animations.
Yeah, because we had like fill in like a whole. We had a much less sophisticated tool than this, right? But it has a bunch of curves you can pick from, and they all contain a bunch of like piecewise interpolated like math, right? And then we wanted to get code coverage for it because we had a goal for the project of getting a large amount of test coverage. And so then we had to like find values that would like poke into each of the different segments of the interpolation logic.
Sorry, I'm still distracted from trying to do this, getting this to go.
So if one of the, because I think we have a lot of developer types who watch this, like if somebody
Yeah.
wanted to build their little simple ball,
that's
or
what
they were working with a designer, they would then like click the download button up top, and then they would just, like, there's a Flutter runner or Flutter instructions on your page to like load it in.
So if you're saying if someone wanted to implement this in a Flutter app, is that what you're asking? Yeah. So
presumably they would use this thing, right?
Yep. So you go to the download button. And sorry, I feel like I totally ignored Adam's question before. I was so distracted with making things bounce. So if you wanted to share this, you would go to the share button here and hit download, and you would grab for newest runtime. We always give the previous runtime here, like for folks that were working with an older version and they don't want to have to rev their runtime. These are major versions of our runtime. And yeah, you just download the file and you get this bouncing ball.riv file, which is tiny. It's 470 bytes right now. Not
even measured in K.
Yeah. And you go to, so let's do this the proper way. I'm not going to type it in, just show you how you would actually navigate to it. You go to our resources here on our homepage. Oh, and that's open a new tab. So let me go and plug it in here. So it's going to open this resources page, which you can find anywhere on our site.
Which of course is beautiful.
Thanks. This is like our video tutorials, which I recommend you watch. There's a Welcome to Rive sort of playlist, and there's like Distinctly Rive playlist, which covers like the things that are really unique and different that you wouldn't see in typical animation tools. And then we have Runtime Fun Time, which is what you do when you need to get this working in your runtime. So you can click on here, or you can go, I think we have somewhere here, documentation for the runtimes. It's the very top. So if you click on that, it is going to load a new tab. So I got to bring it, hang on. I got to bring it over to the screen. It basically, sorry, the one that's live. It takes you to our help center, which is help.rive.app. And it's supposed to take you to this quick start guide for the runtime. So there's a few sections here. There's like the editor section in our help center, and then there's the runtime section. And you can see that there's like a quick start for getting this running in, on the web, on Flutter. You basically follow these steps and, you'll get it to run. And then there's like a complete example at the bottom if you want to see like the full code of what it would be to get something to run. And you see here,
go ahead, sorry.
That's a Rive file right there, yeah. That RIV.
And presumably this also has some sort of API to like set those, because you were talking about the state machines, right, that you can pass.
Yeah. So that is, I believe, if you go here, state machines, we have some documentation on like how to call the state machine, how to effectively change the inputs. This is all Greek to me, but hopefully means something to you.
Well, it looks like you have a controller, and you go find the variable and you plug in the value, something of that nature.
Yeah, no, it looks pretty straightforward.
Cool. Let me know if you want me to like stop on a specific area here.
No, this is
I think just get a sense for like what the next step is, like after you've created your beautiful bouncing ball. Like how do you use it?
Yep. So you'd effectively grab one of our runtimes, and like we said, we have a lot, and folks are contributing a lot. Like folks have been creating like Angular. I believe there's a Vue one too. Yeah, it's very cool to see the community start to contribute their own runtimes. And this is also our help center, I believe, is on GitHub, so we get contributions for that too, where they'll write their own kind of documentation for it and for the runtimes that they've added.
I think you like created enough value here that these sort of like platform vendors are interested. Like you mentioned that Tizen folks went and built their own runtime.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's that was super exciting to see. The Samsung team just reached out and was like, "Hey, we want to make an official Tizen runtime. Do we have your blessing?" And we said, "Awesome, yes." And they interfaced with their team a little bit, but they did everything themselves. Just a few questions here and there, but they knocked it out of the park. We also have another pretty cool partnership that I won't share the name of. That's building a Rust runtime. That's super cool. They don't have plans to open source that yet because they're still building their product kind of in stealth. But later, I have hope that it will be available for others to work with. And and the big thing we're working on right now, which you might have seen on our homepage, is the game engine side of things. So obviously we talked a little bit about Flash kind of leaving a hole for game developers. And I don't know if you know this, but Flash was actually used a lot for creating interactive menus for a lot of games that you might have even played. Like if you played any of the Assassin's Creed series, for example, that all uses Flash for the menu. So because it's not easy to create, like game engines don't do vector graphics easily. They do polygons. So anyway, I can talk about this for hours, but yeah, we're working on game engine rendering technology that will let you load vector graphics that you create in Rive in any of the major game engines. We have a default one coming really soon, which Default is the game engine for King.com. You might be familiar with them. They do like Candy Crush and some of the big mobile games. Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking and let you guys talk about it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all of this. This is like I feel like the animation world is something that I have a very loose understanding of because it intersects with graphics that I have a good understanding of. But like seeing the sort of sophistication of these tools and how you're able to create these, like the inverse kinematics and the state machines, it's a whole new level of this that I've never seen before.
Cool. That's very exciting to hear. Yeah, we definitely think it's a bit of a challenge because it's some new concepts. If you're not in game design, it's pretty new to the product design world. So our challenge is to get folks to try it out. So love doing stuff like this and just be able to show it off a little bit. This has been super fun.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I've loved about doing the show with Adam for the last year is that for me it's a lot about just learning new stuff. Like we learned Rust. I didn't know Rust a couple months ago. I've learned a little bit about Rive tonight. Yeah, I just enjoy the learning. It was neat that you gave us a big tour of what you guys are working on.
Cool. I feel like I rushed through a bunch of stuff, but yeah.
Okay,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah. Well, somebody's pointing out it looks like Rive is actually even used in other source code that we've talked about.
Oh, cool that someone.
I can actually tell you a little about this if you're interested. So, when the device boots, we used to have a just series of PNGs that we would show to make the boot animation. And I think someone discovered Rive and realized that they could re-implement that animation in Rive and save 1 megabyte of storage on the device, which is huge because like a megabyte of storage on these devices is like an enormous amount. And it was also loads faster than the sequence of PNGs because
awesome.
at that phase of booting the device, we're basically disk bandwidth limited. And so the tiny file lets us run the boot animation faster.
Huh.
Anyway, if you poke into that, you'll see that's what it's used for in Fuchsia.
That's
cool.
awesome. That's very exciting to see that being used on Fuchsia. We're very excited to see what's going to come there.
Well, at the moment, it's just like a spinning G. So
still cool. Looking forward to what else.
Well, I think we've kind of reaching the end of the show here. One of the things that I do ask Adam every week is what he's learned this week. Do you have a learning that you would like to share with our viewers on the spot here?
I am so deep into the detailed semantics of Linux like device drivers. Like I'll tell you one thing I learned. I learned that if you can, there's a Linux device driver called dev full that when you read it, you always get back zeros. And when you write to it, it always complains that it's full. And like, why you have this thing, I have no idea. But some program needed it. So this week I had to implement dev full. Like I've heard of dev random and I've heard of dev null. I've never heard of dev full before, but there you go. What about you, Eric?
Well,
what did you learn this week?
I have been deep in Rust. I've been reading some of there's the Rustnomicon, which is the danger, don't go here, all the deep dark secrets of Rust, because I've been having to write unsafe code.
Name. It's like the Cryptonomicon, but for Rust.
Yes, the Rust community is just full of all sorts of this fun stuff. I found the Rust Discord and I was asking people questions. I learned about transmuting memory, which is like super unsafe. Anyways, I was learning all about Rust and implementing, because the thing that we've been working on, the Ren interpreter, I've been wiring up the C API for it, so I can now take our little Ren interpreter and drop it in to where someone else was using the C Ren, and it just works.
I saw some of your commits on that, and they had this like most terrifying, enormous templates, and they were like, and then transmute the memory and jump to it.
Oh yeah, they're so terrible. I mean, they're terrible first because I'm just learning this stuff, and so I'm kind of like spamming it out, and I'll deal with like macroing it all later. But they're also terrible because they're incredibly unsafe.
We got to run the fuzzer again now that you've done all those terrible things.
And yes, to put you on the spot, Guido, do you have a learning to share with folks? You don't have to.
Let's see. I have a new baby at home, and I've learned a lot of non-technical stuff about babies. Let me think here. What did I learn this week?
Changing diapers is a lot of learning, I will tell you that.
Sure. Yep. I learned about this. This might not be super friendly. I think it's probably okay, but babies can have trouble going to the bathroom. Things can get blocked up, and that's normal. If you don't be a father that freaks out like me when your baby hasn't gone to the bathroom for the whole night. It's actually normal. So that is something I learned this week. So sorry to bring that to your show.
Somehow babies survive this like phase of life, and it's just a total mystery to me. They do not just like spontaneously combust.
Yeah. It's actually that's another good learning is like how delicate they are, but also at the same time resilient. They're not as delicate as I thought they might be initially. You know, you actually it's gonna be okay, even if a few things aren't quite like the way you totally wanted it to go. Like maybe it screamed a little longer than you wanted to, but it's gonna be okay. Yeah. Anyway,
well, this has been fantastic having you on, Guido. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful to see you as always, Dr. Barth.
Yeah. See you all next week.
We will have different plans next week. I will not be here, but I think Adam may have a special show for you. We'll sort that out on Twitter. Anyways, good night all.
Thank you both.